Hello everyone. So again, apologies I'm a bit late to the scene on this, but I want to talk about the junior sub reform. So it's going to be junior sub reform as we talk about, and obviously the leaving sub reform too is coming along. And obviously there hasn't been reformed in a long time, the junior sub and leaving sort. And obviously compared to other countries, it's very out of date. I'm sure you would agree. Half the stuff that's on the leaving sort and junior sort is outdated. It's not really necessary, to be totally honest with you. Before we say anything else, obviously, it's not Norma Foley. Norma Foley's not doing this in the goodness of her heart. Let's be honest, Norma Foley doesn't have a heart. But, obviously some people in the Department of Education which are like, we have to do something because, let's be honest, the children of Ireland are very upset with our good Minister of Education. Our glorious Minister of Education, may I use that word. But yeah, I just want to briefly talk about it. So first of all, obviously they're adding subjects like climate issues and things like that. And I would say, the children need less subjects. Obviously, pushing more subjects into their faces, more exams, won't help them. They should be focusing on the basics. Obviously, the basics in life. Obviously, use maths, English are very important. Learning your maths, how to do wages, how to figure out things in maths. That's very important, obviously, and that's what should be focused on. And I think pulling more subjects onto young people is going to lead to more stress. And again, this is all about, nowadays people are stressing enough about making ends meet, And obviously, as you show, when you're a young person doing leaving stuff, for example, you have to worry about getting a job, you have to worry about buying a car, maybe even, maybe never being able to afford a house. Again, this is all what young people are worrying about. And putting more stress on them in the leaving cert. Because again, a lot of students are thinking about when they finish the leaving cert, what's going to happen there. And again, it's a lot of stress in the young people's mind. Any exam is stressful, even if it's a small exam. Any exam is stressful. So obviously, I do think they shouldn't put any more subjects. That's first of all. But we see what happens. They're trying it out at the moment. But that's just me. But yeah. And obviously, I think a bit. Obviously, the same. But teachers having to teachers surveying those students as opposed to doing their own. Correcting their own exams, basically. It wouldn't be done by the State Examinations Committee. And to a certain extent, I would agree. I know some people would say it would be biased, teachers being biased towards students. And to a certain extent, that's maybe would be the case in some issues. But I do take your teacher. Take, for example, your history teacher, and you've done a history exam in the junior sort or leaving sort. Your history teacher will know how strong you are in history and would judge you accordingly, and he would know who you are. Because again, on the day, you have a lot of things in your mind. You have loads of exams happening. Your mind is going at 90 miles an hour. And, you could make a mistake in reading it wrong and things. Things can happen. Things like that can happen. And obviously being fair is the best thing. Being fair. And I do think teachers would be fair. I know some teachers might be biased, whatever. But I do think it'd be fair. Because again, we have to be fair nowadays. It has to be fair. It's not an army. They're not going for the army. Let's be honest with you. They're not. Again, be fair. Be fair. Because again, it's not easy. It's not easy. When I was sitting doing the junior, so even though I was in the room on my own, I had a person reading out questions to me too, which was handy. Again, I had that and it was good, and I'm very grateful that I had that assistance. But yeah, it was good, and obviously that benefited me a lot in the junior, so too. I will admit. Even though, did I even look at my junior side? I think I did. I looked at my junior side. I didn't look at my leaving sub results. I never still did. I never bothered that to the Department of Education with them. But yeah. So obviously that's obviously need for special needs kids and things like that. Obviously that I 100% agree with that. And obviously too, I think there's a bit just on the top of my head again. I think it off the top of my head just after I'm coming home. I don't have it in front of me. But I was looking at one of the days, what they were saying about the leaflet on it from the Department of Education. What to do the exam in 5th year before you go to leaving cert. I think that's so you're doing the half of exam in 5th year, the end of 5th year, instead of doing all in 6th year, the leaving cert. And obviously I do agree, splitting it up, doing one section 1 year, and then the other section the next, instead of having it all in one go. At least that would reduce stress and maybe remind you to get better. Obviously that's agreeable, and obviously I agree with that. But my main concern here too is that the extra subjects, that's what I'm more concerned about. I do think it shouldn't really be added, to be totally honest. One subject I would assume and I would have covered, again I know care classes are in secondary school to have care with the tutors or whatever in secondary school, but the thing I do say is there should be a mindfulness class a week where children, the young people just chill for usually classes about 40 minutes in some school, depending on schools. Some class could be an hour, but I do think they should have a mindfulness class, maybe on a Friday morning, where the children just chill and listen to some relaxing music, maybe do a bit of colouring, just to relax, because again, it is stressful enough for a young person. As I said, young people nowadays is different than when I was younger. You had very little to care about and things like that. Things were simpler. Nowadays it's different, and it's a lot of pressure on young people, we have to admit. It's a different society. We have to reflect that in education too, that society has changed in the last few years, for better or for worse. In some cases better, some cases worse. But we have to reflect that in education too. And obviously I do agree that obviously this is a step in the right direction, but eventually I would say, and I often have said it, Finland, we should get like Finland in education. If you look at Finland's education system, Ireland doesn't even get into the ballpark of it. No doubt in Finland's education system, and it just shows you, it's the best in the world. They have the highest grades and everything in the world, and because they have a mindfulness kind of way of education, they don't put stress on young people. They don't push them a lot. They don't get homework until the 7th, take for example, in primary school. And let them be young people, and let them be kids, instead of having to spend long hours at homework. And that probably encourages them more when they're in school to learn a bit more than having piling down when they're after days at school they have to do homework at home. And obviously that works, that has worked, and obviously it's the best education system in the world. And I do think Ireland should take a leaf out of it. As a modern country, as a first world country, Ireland supposedly is a first world country. In some sections, not necessarily, but I think you would agree. But it would be beneficial. Again, we should focus on taking care of our young people, because again, it is very stressful society. But that's just my recommendations. Hopefully, maybe I'll be listened to. But I will put in the recommendation to the department on mindfulness. Again, regardless of the environment and things like that, I don't think we should be pushing that down young people's necks, of worrying people, things like that. Because again, I think worrying them about the environment, things like that, it's not going to help young people any better. Be totally honest. But worrying about their mental health, because that's the one thing with the worry about mental health, young people's mental health, as you see now, young people are struggling with the mental health. And I think having mindfulness, or even teaching young people how to cope with situations, is beneficial for everybody, I think. And I think that should be the only thing that should be added. It's debate about other subjects too. There's some other subjects and even junior cert that are not really necessary, to be totally honest. But yeah, we come to that bridge when it comes to God, but I do think that should be the one thing that should be added, apart from environment, and there's other things too. And obviously, and I do think we should, the one thing I said, last thing I say, I do think students should have a choice in predicted grades. The teachers predict the grades instead of sitting the exam. I know, but again, a lot of students want to sit some exams that they know they're good at and things like that. And obviously we should encourage them, because again, forcing them to do an exam that they're no good at or things like that is not fair. Let's be honest, it's not fair on them. And letting the teacher predict the grade, because again, the teacher would understand, if you had a teacher 5 days a week, they would understand what your strong suits in the subject and can predict your grade. And accordingly, if that makes any sense. But again, that's just my assumption of everything. Again, I do think it's a fair system. Be totally honest. I do think it gives young people a chance to go to college and to progress in life. Because everything nowadays, it's always deemed like college is necessary. College is not necessary for everything. There's loads of things you can do outside of college. But yeah, but if students wanted to go, the options there, if that makes sense. It makes it easier on them. It's less stress. Yeah, because I remember even young people when I was at school, in the college, and worrying about things. But thankfully, a lot of things with the particular grades and things like that was okay. But a lot of them were worried about it. We have to focus on that. Thank you.